I want us to reframe the way we look at fitness. The amount of DMs and messages I got when I first opened up, it was really heartbreaking, Anabel. It was like women at rock bottom, like...
So, hi Lavina, welcome to the Healing Hour. I'm so grateful to have you here today.
Thank you for having me, Anabel.
Of course. We're going to dive into a lot today. So, your own healing journey, your work, your purpose. But let's start with the basics. You are an award-winning personal trainer. You're a wellness coach, a mom of three, and you have been featured on TV and radio promoting the health benefits of exercise to treat and reduce risk of chronic disease with the goal of helping all ages feel good physically and mentally. Is there anything I've missed?
Oh gosh, no. That was a lovely intro. Thank you.
No, you're so welcome. Yeah, you have done a lot, and I'm so impressed by your work. But let's start at the beginning. What put you on a path to this career and life that is rooted in wellness?
Good question. So I wasn't actually sporty when I was younger. I should always point that out. And it was only really in my 30s that I got into strength training after having my youngest son. I just joined the gym like a lot of mums and women do. And I had, like everyone, I think, certain things in your life experiences, and some of the hurdles and challenges in life, like being a mum of three boys. I had left my corporate career as a global project manager, a role that I absolutely loved. So I left that in my 20s to bring my boys up. I just fell in love with what exercise did for me, not just physically. Yes, I did lose a lot of weight and I got really strong, but it was more the mental health benefits of exercise and going through things like losing my father-in-law, who was very dear to me, from a brain tumor. We lived together. We were, like 6 months of deterioration so quickly. It was really things like the gym and my workouts that was my savior mentally. So in short, it was later on in life, and I'm trying to encourage, all ages to start as soon as possible. But also my message is it's never too late. And you'll see that in our conversation with the elderly and so many people that are joining me in my free workouts later on in life as well.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that, and I love actually that you also shifted your focus a lot into the elderly people, because I think that's one of the biggest obstacles we have to overcome. Really, I see it with my own grandparents, how they're struggling now in age to move, and they're actually afraid of it a little bit. But we're gonna dig deeper into that in a little bit. But like you mentioned, so you were working in a more corporate environment and you really shifted to life and career that was really rooted in wellness. Was there anything else that catalyzed this change?
My corporate background has really helped because I was a project manager. I was very young and I was managing generally men. It's a very male dominated environment. So I was like on the IT trading floors. I was probably younger than most of the men that I actually manage, which is, like something that I like pointing out. But I think all those life experiences gave me the confidence to be able to do what I'm doing now. But this path, Anabel, was never planned. So even when I fell in love with fitness and I then decided to look at, the science behind exercise, and I was intrigued. I just wanted to do the courses to become a fitness instructor. Firstly, that's the first level, just out of my own interest. And it was really going back to the science of food with my mom, who's a chef and cookery writer. And we had self-published her last book, which is where my whole Feel Good brand stems from. Her last book is called Feel Good with Food. And I was very heavily pregnant and I was typing up her book. And she's a biological scientist. So she looked at how food really help your body, like with antioxidants, now called polyphenols, like the meaning behind all the food groups that we eat. And then I decided to just sit the courses without even telling anyone, just telling my immediate family. And when the children were asleep, I would sit and just learn and learn. And it was never going to be a career path. I think that's where my journey is so different, that none of this was planned. It's just I fell in love with it. And then obviously a few friends found out that I was qualifying then to become a personal trainer and just asked me randomly, could you train me? And I didn't realize that there was such a big market for one-to-one women's training. And I used to train them in my home gym. It was really private. It wasn't intimidating like a gym environment. And I had women from the age of 30 to 70 with such different goals. It wasn't just about weight loss. Some were just coming to me for mental health, for menopausal symptoms, for like post pregnancy, for mobility. I remember some of my older clients, one of them couldn't even move her arm up, and we got her so fit and strong that she was able to then go back and play golf and lift her grandchildren, and some really like touching stories and journeys. So it was basically not planned, but yeah, I think like your path in life is definitely written for you, and I absolutely love what I do, that it doesn't feel like work now, and I'm not your average 20-something-year-old personal trainer that you see online.
Yeah, but you know what? You can hear it in your voice that you absolutely love what you're doing. And I think it's so powerful if you're able to turn your passion into work. And I think you can really see that in people if they truly love what they're doing. And I think if that's the case in many ways, like that's when things fall into place and that's when things work out the way they should. Like you mentioned, you have people from like 30 all the way up to 70, and that's also like really rooted in your mission, right? Because you want to help all ages to feel good physically and mentally. Can you maybe share why all ages are so core to your mission?
I just took a very brave move. I'd never really been on social media. I just opened up my Instagram account just before the pandemic, and I got onto Sky News. It was a big platform, just out of chance with my exercise snacking, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But it was when I started going live twice a day, and it was with my husband and youngest son. And when I saw the elderly trying to log on and join us, that's when I kind of realized that, oh my goodness, like it's a pandemic. There's so much anxiety, so many worries, like people didn't really know what was going on, a lot of loneliness. I wanted to boost people's immune systems through exercise because there's so much science behind the power of exercise to keep our bodies strong and fight infection. And I then got my mother-in-law, who was 73 at the time and living with us. I convinced her as well, who's very camera shy like me, to join me on these chair-based workouts. And my mission really is the fact that we've had up to the age of 100 join these free sessions.
Wow.
And that was a lady in a care home, and she had Alzheimer's, which is really close to my heart because my grandmother had Alzheimer's, and we really saw her struggle for the last decade of her life in a care home also. So it really pulled on my heartstrings, and it just showed me that even if she couldn't do all the exercises with me, she was smiling. And that smile, I will never forget. That I use that as motivation every week when I go live. I think of certain individuals and images that keep me going. And that was like a game changer. I thought, if she can join in, and if exercise brings her so much joy, I need to show people that you can do, even if it's a small amount, and even if it's just something that your body allows, all ages, all abilities. I needed to devise exercises that everyone could do.
I think that's beautiful. My grandmother as well suffered from Alzheimer's, and my best friend's mother is like end stage Alzheimer's as well. So when we go and visit her, like just seeing her smile, like you said, it's because it's such a genuine smile, and you know that in that moment they actually feel good because they're not faking anything. I think that's like the most powerful smile you can get. So I believe that that is a big drive force for you.
Yeah, and I think like now I'm an ambassador for Alzheimer's Society, so it's a big charity here in the UK, but it's like keeping our brains fit. There's so much power in even just trying to coordinate movement. And I always say in all my workouts, getting your brains just to be active. But so much research is proving that we can reduce our risk of dementia and Alzheimer's. And it's worth pointing out that the changes in your brain start in your midlife. Although, we see the elderly really suffer, that's where the power of exercise and movement really is so important as we're aging from a younger age as well.
Very true. And that I think perfectly ties into your slogan, exercise for sanity, not vanity. Can you maybe explain what you personally mean by this?
I think initially when I started on my own, what I call feel good journey, my fitness journey, I guess a lot of it was about losing the weight after my youngest son, going through pregnancy and eating for two, even way beyond 18 months of breastfeeding. I love my food, like my mom is a chef, so we're big foodies. But I realized, like after losing my father-in-law, seeing my grandmother suffer, like those things really started making me feel that exercise can really help my health, and it helped me prioritize how important health is. I also had a slight health scare, in my late 20s following a smear test. So that's something, again, being South Asian, I went very publicly on Sky News in 2019 to share my journey there, because it's taboos like that where we don't often hear in my community an Asian woman talking about smear tests and the importance and the cell changes that my thing was cell changes that were picked up early, luckily. When you start focusing on your health, and although I was like losing weight, so look good, feel good, I totally get it. And obviously that helps us with our confidence, our self-esteem. But I want us to reframe the way we look at fitness. And like I've said, the mental health benefits, the fact that I could have been really anxious before a workout, and the fact that I left that, even if it's a short bit of movement, with the endorphins, those feel-good hormones released, I just felt the power of it in my mind. And exercise for sanity, not vanity, for me is about saying, let's just look at fitness, not just for how we look, but also how it makes us feel. So I think it's just so powerful. It's like the instant mood booster, and I can guarantee people, like, if you find something you enjoy, and we're all different, but even just stepping outdoors, like for a feel-good walk, like I say, 5-minute, 10-minute walk in fresh air, ideally amongst nature, because then again, you have incredible mental health benefits from fractals, these geometric shapes in nature. It's literally the power of movement. And I hope people understand that goes beyond how we look. And especially as you age, right? I think it becomes more important about how it makes us feel.
For me, that was such a life-changing moment when I started to realize that exercise is for sanity, not vanity, because like coming from the modeling industry, being in there for like 6 years, I was exercising for vanity. Like the only reason I was exercising was like to lose weight, to stay in my weight range, to like look good from the outside. But even though I did all of that, and I think that's something that people have to realize, like exercising doesn't mean that you feel good, because I was like exercising for vanity and I was feeling horrible. I was anxious. I was like getting super like nervous, because obviously I put so much pressure on myself having to exercise this amount during the day to have these results. It turned into like a negative way of exercising. And so I think that exercising can be so much fun, and now I'm doing it for sanity, and I'm in love with it. There's not a single day that I don't exercise, and it helps me so much to like just like let go of all the thoughts. It's just like my meditation. It's my way of just like settling down and getting grounded. And I think that's one thing I want to speak with you about as well, is that I think a lot of people see exercise as like this thing where you just have to go crazy, you have to sweat, you have to power out, you have to like do something that makes your heart rate go really high. And I think that like seeing exercise as a simple movement, I think what people have to become aware of, because people are so scared of exercising because they always feel it has to be like this exercise that you see on Instagram and everywhere else. But exercise can be going for a 10-15 minute walk a day. It's like stretching, moving yourself, and implementing these small things throughout the day. And I think that's so key. And I want to know your thoughts towards it, because I see, especially in elderly people, as soon as people get older, and if they have never really exercised in their life, they are afraid of exercise because they feel they have to go a specific way. How do you like teach people that exercise actually can be something so simple and so joyful and so meaningful?
Oh my gosh. So the best way for me to show you is for us to do maybe what I call an exercise snack. If you're up for it, Annabelle, like nothing crazy, but you know what, like even if I just showed you something you could do, and so many people are just sitting for long periods, like even when we're on these conversations, even people watching at home, that when they watch this interview, I would love people to be moving, because it's the sedentary lifestyles that are so detrimental to our health, and challenges, post pandemic, like some of us are working from home and we're constantly on screens. And not only does that affect our posture, like so many people say they've got back pain and they're rounding out. We're on our screens, on social media, scrolling all day. So simple movements. And I even say from a chair. So obviously this is just a taster, and I would love everyone to join my free sessions that are on a Friday with my mother-in-law, but they're all saved on my YouTube channel for like the last 3 years. But we could just do like a minute, Annabelle. Are you up
Okay,
for that?
perfect. I'm ready.
So
Ready.
I'm going to move my chair back and I'm just going to show a couple of options. I've just done a live this morning, so I've still got some of my weights and things there, really to show people. I don't know if you can see them, but I have got like plastic bottles, I've got tins, if you've got dumbbells, even if you've got your water bottle. So what I typically do is I'll just move this mic out of the way just so I can demonstrate a little bit is just seated exercises. So we want to keep our muscles strong, and we do talk a lot about cardio and that intense exercise, and we want to hit the government guidelines for aerobic activity, but strength training is really my passion. That's the bit that I want all ages to be looking at lifting their body weight, maybe adding in light weights. It doesn't have to be dumbbells. It could just be a safe household object. So even if you're sitting, I'll show you from the side, you could be doing a leg extension. So even if you lift your one leg off the ground, place your hands on your thighs, you can really engage your quadriceps. We're sitting nice and tall with our stomach muscles engaged, so nice straight back. So even here, if I hold out my leg, can you feel the muscles are working, right?
Yeah.
So if you and we're just constantly not using our muscles, I want to turn that around. So when you are working from home or you're stuck on the screens, we could do simple movements like that. That's for somebody that maybe can't stand, because I have care homes, I have people with disabilities join the workouts as well. And sometimes you just can't get up, right? You might be at a dinner table in a restaurant and you could easily just do some leg extensions and nobody would know. Alternatively, if you're able to stand, you're going to do a nice sit and stand like a squat. We're just going to come up out of our seats. I'm holding a little weight. Oh, I love that. We've got a little book there. And we're just going to touch down, engage the muscles, exhaling, stomach muscles tight. Really think about your lower body muscles. So your glutes, your hamstrings, your quads, and stomach muscles are literally like your belly button to spine. I've got my knees going out in line with my toes. We'll just do one more. We're going to do like 5 squats, what I call a squat snack. And there we go. We're going to just sit back down. Obviously, you could add in more weight. You could do something a little bit heavier as you progress. You could even add a rucksack, like a bag on your back. And then another one that I love is just marching on the spot. So you could literally just march out here, get your steps in, even while you're watching us. We're going to do 10 seconds. And a favorite stress reliever is a bit of boxing. So I just want you to let go of any worries, tension, anxiety. Like if people wanted to stand, obviously you could just jog it out and just do about 5 seconds of a little bit of boxing. Get rid of any worries, anxieties right here and relax. Hopefully you should feel your heart rate has gone up. You could have added some little baked bean tins, just little weights to make it really accessible. Do you feel your heart rate's gone up?
Yeah, I'm actually getting warm.
So that was literally a minute, right? And that's to show you how easy it is. Most importantly, I could see a big smile on your face. And I hope
Yeah.
everyone watching is smiling, because that is what I'm talking about. It's like the endorphins can be released. My concept of exercise snacking, I'm now writing a book about. I've done a TEDx talk about it as well recently, because I really want to get my messages out there. It just inspires people to keep moving bite-sized amounts through the day. I would love to show you more, but I'll save that for my workouts or on my social.
Exactly. And for everyone watching or listening, so they can join you. Yeah, I really love that. And the energy you put into it also, that made me smile, because I think that's so important that you have actually someone showing you that is so passionate about it as well. That gives a lot of energy over to me. But one thing that I recently listened to was a podcast from Stephen Bartlett and Tim Spector. And there was like this big statement where he said, exercise doesn't help weight loss. And it went viral. And I know that you and him had a conversation right after. Can you share your thoughts on this and what is your view? Because obviously from my perspective, I think exercise absolutely plays a part in maintaining a healthy body composition. I know it's not the only thing, but it's part of it. So I would love to know your view.
That was one of my, I think, most pivotal lives, having that conversation with Tim Spector. And he's someone, that I've respected for years, like talking about my mom and, the food side and nutrition. We've been following him from way before he got so mainstream. So he's like a guru there in my eyes, from years before. And I think what Stephen Bartlett's little clickbait clip was
Yeah.
just so clever marketing, because what they really did was really just pick up one part of the conversation that Tim said. And I think Tim and I are both in agreement, and that live is saved obviously on both Tim Spector and my channels. So please watch it when you can. He brought me on, and we'd actually planned a live from months before that. Little did I know that Stephen Bartlett would then give me the job of addressing every personal trainer's like comeback on what was fed out there to the universe and went viral. But we were both in agreement that actually, exercise on its own will probably not help weight loss. Like, we want to look at so many things. I have a very holistic approach to lifestyle and exercise. So it has to go hand in hand with food and your nutrition, right? I mean, I don't even like to use the word diet often because I don't believe in dieting, but nourishing our body, exercise, movement, they go hand in hand. And that's what Tim actually said. But he gave me the opportunity to obviously share my messages, my approach, which I think is quite different as well to like the mainstream, the things that we see, like you touched on about people being intimidated by exercise. And, you don't have to be the perfect Instagram person. I'm talking so openly about my perimenopause journey, and menopause is only a conversation us women have been having openly, can you believe, like this year and last year, although like so many of our mums, grandmothers, they may have gone through it, and just it's like a conversation that's so important to me now. But Tim and I were both in agreement. Watch our live. And I think alongside it, like I know with the work that you guys are doing as well, I bring in mindfulness. We want to reduce our stress levels. I do breath snacks, that's part of my feel good fitness prescription. That's what I'm writing about at the moment. But it's important to have little tools that we can bring into our lives that are free. I want them to be accessible. Anyone can do them anywhere. That's what I want to break through. And then obviously things like sleep as well. Like, sleep is so underrated, but it affects all your decisions, right? It affects your motivation to wake up and actually have that energy to exercise. It affects your food choices. It affects your mood, right? Your confidence, your energy levels, everything. So sleep is another big pillar that is really important. And even social connection, like we've talked about the pandemic, but the fact that I have a community and like just seeing all ages on Zoom with me from around the world, and the power of that is so important. But now we have the ability, right, to have those social connections, the things that we missed during lockdowns. We just value it so much more. And that's so important to us, right? Our relationships, our conversations, the support we get from each other. Watch the live. I think you'll hopefully agree with a lot of the things that we said, but I think it was just slightly taken out of context to get a bit of
Hype around it. Yeah. Yeah, I've listened to it, and I completely agree to what you guys say. And like you said, I think it's all about like the primary food and secondary food. So like you mentioned, the people you surround yourself with, your work environment, your family, your friends. I visited a blue zone last year, and I think the one thing you learn there is like living a healthy life is all about your environment. And yes, it has to do with exercise. And yes, it has to do with movement and nutrition. Having this community aspect and having this sense of purpose is so important. One thing I really love about what you do is your honesty and like how you share your own path. And I think like you said, you openly share your perimenopause journey. And I think that's really powerful because a lot of women are scared, which is kind of ridiculous, but are scared to talk about it. And the way you empower women to embrace this time, I think is really beautiful. It's like it can be a beautiful time. It's like you are shifting into like a completely new journey of your life. How do you think that power of exercise and lifestyle can help people, or especially women, during this phase?
Oh my gosh. So, firstly, thank you so much. I'm just thrilled that my messages on social media, me being so honest, at times I've been in tears. Like when I came out about my own perimenopause, it was suppressed for like 4 years. I must have been 39 or 40, which is considered quite young, right? If you think about generally, maybe 10 years ago. And I think the fact that I was South Asian, and it's again another sort of topic that my communities don't talk about, I want to try and break this so we are normalizing the conversation. And I've been very open and honest. I'm so glad that you can kind of feel that, because I'm just, I guess, keeping it real. I want women to know. And the amount of DMs and messages I got when I first opened up last March, that's a year ago, was really heartbreaking, Annabelle. It was like women at rock bottom. Like you hear about suicide rates between 45 and 55 for women. It's so alarming and sad. You hear about marriages breaking down. You hear about women leaving the workforce, which is another thing I do, like really raise awareness in workplaces. So much work needs to be done still. I am a patron of the Menopause Mandate. So it's a very big group of amazing women campaigning, especially here in the UK, around, everything from education to raising awareness to reducing HRT costs. I think whether you're on HRT or not, like, firstly, all women, we shouldn't be scared. And trust me, if you're in your 20s or 30s, the future is going to be so bright for you. Right now, it's a bit of a revolution where we are, figuring our way through it, and things will be so sorted for our future girls, our daughters, our nieces, people like you, Annabelle, I'm sure. So don't be scared, is my message. Number two, I'm glad you're feeling the message that I'm saying about embracing midlife, because although I've had symptoms from through this whole journey of changing careers, of it just being a new path that I just kicked off, going on social media, sharing like times where I was anxious, times where I felt like brain fog. And, my brain was like the one thing I really used to rely on in my career. And then going on TV or media or interviews and having that sort of anxiety, like, am I going to forget something because I'm forgetting people's names? There were so many signs. It's only when I realized. So keep track of your symptoms is the key message, and seek help, because there's so much help out there. And the message I'm getting out there really that I want to promote is whether you choose to go on HRT or not. And HRT had a bad rep before. I'm on HRT myself right now, and it hasn't been a plain sailing journey. It could take, could take you months to up to a year to maybe your hormones to come into some sort of settling. Exercise and lifestyle changes can really help women in their midlife. Like, it is what I have used, which is why I'm so passionate about it. It is what's got me through the craziest 3-4 years of my life, doing something that's surreal. It's like pinch me moments when I got awarded the MBE, things that I never imagined. But I just want to show women that it's not just doom and gloom. Like, we can get through this. And like you said, my message is always embrace it, right?
Congratulations on your MBE. I think it's incredible. And for everyone out there who doesn't know, it's MBE is the member of the Order of the British Empire, correct? Especially individuals get it awarded who have provided a long-term community service or have been responsible for significant community impact. And you received this honor because you were working a lot during the COVID pandemic and helping people to exercise or get back their sanity. So can you tell us a little bit maybe about what this award means to you, and what made you do this work during COVID that got you this incredible award?
Oh gosh. So it is literally pinch me moments, even now. It all happened so quickly. Like, I started going live before the first UK lockdown. Just as I started seeing gyms close, I said to my husband, I want to do something different. I've just opened up my Instagram publicly. I'm going to go live. And, we did lunchtime exercise snacks every single day. We did then turned it into an evening structured workout. So it's going live twice a
You
day.
do it with your husband?
Me, my husband, and my youngest son.
I love that. Oh my God, beautiful.
It was great.
Family activities.
And then obviously I had the elderly. So then I got my mother-in-law So at times I was doing 3 or 4 lives a day. I was going live on lots of platforms. I was doing stuff in Gujarati, which is my mother tongue, with my mother-in-law translating. I just saw something that I never imagined, and I saw thousands joining, and I just thought, this is incredible. Like, this is giving me a purpose, like to get through the pandemic myself. And at the same time, I never realized how rewarding it is to be able to give back. I mean, that is what I literally thrive off. That's why I continued these workouts. The last 3 years, I have like as much information on my channels, as much as I can provide. I just want to break all the barriers of cost, time, motivation. So yeah, the award was really, really out of the blue, and it came so quickly. I found out within a few months that I think the Queen had found out about my workouts. Surreal. And it was in October 2020, and I was awarded, with the likes of Joe Wicks, Marcus Rashford, Mr. Motivator, and me. I was just an Asian woman, a mum of 3, never planned on doing this. It means so much because it gives me that platform, right, to help as many people as I can. So I've really set this mission, which you shared, to help people feel good. I just want them to realize, like, it can help physically, mentally, and especially reduce risks of chronic illnesses. So it's been incredible. It's opened a lot of doors, but it's also, I hope, getting more reach, so that people out there that may be struggling can turn to exercise as a form of self-care, as a form just to
Yeah.
give them confidence, to inspire them, right? I hope just sharing my journey inspires mums that may have given up their work like I did, just to think that got a dream, sometimes just go for it. You never know where it's going to take you.
Yeah, I love that. And you truly deserve it, Lavina. I think that you went into this with like not the intention of like, oh, I want to build a huge business, I want to make money, but with the intention to actually help those in need, because COVID was a time where it was just like were isolated. They were so like devastated, depressed, and like having this community where you can tap into 3 times a day or how often you did it, and just like find people like yourself on it that are like just wanting to be back into like their community and do something for themselves is beautiful. And I think that's why, really, congratulations, you truly deserve it. And I think looking at this epidemic of stress right now, it's since COVID, and I think prior to that it was pretty bad as well, but it's like, I think really it's not getting any better, and people are really suffering in many ways, mentally and physically. How do you feel like the right movement can help us overcome this? And how can we equip our body to deal with these stressors of today's world?
Wow, the $1 million question, right? But yeah, I am really concerned, like, especially even being a mum of 3, and they're all boys, but with technology, with social media, there's just so many different pressures for the younger generation to the elderly, who I feel like still, if I look at my parents, they kind of have still lost a certain level of confidence through the pandemic. They're not as free as they were. They're still scared of COVID. They've really been hit, and it's been so sad to see. I feel like a lot of maybe of us watching can relate when you look at your parents or grandparents, like how this has really affected them. It's heartbreaking, like even mentally, but even physically. So I want people to know that there are tools out there, that things don't have to cost anything. Exercise snacking to strength training to maybe building up to hit the government guidelines, to knowing that you can reduce your risks of so many chronic illnesses. I'm an ambassador for Diabetes UK because diabetes is rife in my family, let alone the Asian community and the world, right? And it leads on to heart disease, strokes. Like, there's so many links with our health. I even did my TED talk, for youth, because I feel, like I said, just looking at my own children and the pressure that they're under nowadays, it's a different future for them, I feel. And I want them to realize that movement, doesn't have to be called exercise. It's such a powerful tool that we can use alongside all the other stuff, right? It's like healing, that you call it. It is a form of self-healing. It's important to find something you enjoy. Like, I love lifting heavy weights, but that's something that I've been doing over the last decade, and I'd never lifted anything heavy before, but that's something that I really focus on, and it gives me strength. strength. Like, even though I feel strong, I feel empowered, it's important for my muscle mass as I'm aging. It's important for me to hopefully be able to be as independent as possible as I age. Like thinking about the future is digging deep. Like, I know, just talking about your why is such an important question. And for me, it's all around the events in my life that have been challenging, or the impact on my health, or people around me, my loved ones, and grief and loss, and just certain challenges in life, how it's helped me. And I want it to be relatable. That's why I really am passionate about sharing my journey. You're not alone, right? And the more we kind of share and talk about this stuff, the more we can help one another.
Exactly. I think vulnerability is key to that. People always feel like they have to be strong and they have to the outside world, be this like perfect human. But I think like vulnerability and like really sharing what your struggles are so important to everyone else out there. Do you think we should exercise differently as we age? Because obviously, as our bodies and abilities change, maybe exercise changes. So how can we also take away this fear or pressure around exercise that we spoke about earlier for people?
Yeah, I mean, I think strength training, which I've touched on, is a really important part of, I think, all ages fitness programs. But once you hit around 30, you do start losing muscle mass and bone density. So that's where, from a scientific perspective, like the importance of exercise, we want to build muscle strength. It helps us reduce things like osteoporosis. You hear about so many people also having knee pain, osteoarthritis. Like, strength training is the key part that I feel a lot of us may focus on cardio only, but I want people to be strength training 2 to 3 times a week. Chair-based exercises may sound really underrated or really easy, or what is Lavina going on about? But give my workouts sometimes a go. Like, the ones I stream live and for free are often very accessible, because I want the older people as well to be able to know that they can use them. But I have people working from home, and I just say, join in for 5 minutes, but you can challenge your own body. So you've got to listen to your body. You've got to try and progress over time gradually. So strength training is all about progressive overload, as well as hitting the government guidelines of cardiovascular exercise. But it doesn't mean that you have to do high impact. Like, we even do star jumps. We did the boxing, right? Low impact. I've invented like chair burpees, chair planks, like you name it. I've kind of tried to make things accessible. But I think everyone's journey is so different. So don't compare yourself to anyone else. Listen to your body and just follow your own journey. And, like, just find something that you love. Like, it could be anything from cycling to hit cardio, to swimming, to lifting some weights, to doing some stretch work, some mobility. Like, mobility is part of my feel good prescription, because it's so important to just warm the muscles up. And then equally, it's so important to stretch. And I feel like stretching is the best, because I tie in my breath work with the stretching. It kicks in the parasympathetic nervous system. It helps your body relax, really calms body and mind. So I think a combination, but I wouldn't want to be prescriptive. I almost want it to be flexible to the individual.
I think that's amazing because I totally agree. For me, like my yoga and meditation in the morning, I always call that my feel good medicine. Because like you say, just like getting this movement in, especially in the morning, just like stretching when you come out of bed, it's just like you feel how everything opens up and how just like the flow of energy within your body just like is so much better, and the circulation starts going. And I don't miss a single morning of doing that, even if it's just 2 minutes. Because I know a lot of times, and I think that's what people should be aware of as well, is like it can be like a minute that we just did now, but at least do it. Because if you do it, that's when you like start to get a routine into it, and then it becomes so much easier to do it for a longer period of time. But if you never start because you feel like you have to do 10 minutes right away, then that's where the issue starts. And I think what you said with like people are like asking themselves like, what is Lavina doing with all of these chair exercises? But to be honest, I think it's such a great approach, because everyone has a chair close to them. And that's even like If it's on a chair, it's a bench or it's a box or it's something, no excuse. Even on the street, you find something anywhere. That's a really great approach because like people don't have excuses.
Yeah, how many of us are watching Netflix, right, in the evenings, and you're just sitting
Exactly.
there, the couch potato. Like I used to say, sitting is the new smoking, but it is just the amount of hours that
Yeah.
we're spending sitting. And I love, you are saying all of my slogans, feel good medicine, because I do feel exercise, some sort of movement, whether it's stretch, breath work, anything. It
Yeah.
is like the
Exactly.
magic pill, right? And it doesn't have to cost anything either.
And really changes something. Yeah, exactly.
Changes your mood, it just changes your energy levels, right? We're under a lot of stress, even with work, with life, with juggling, my kids, my son's been sick all week. It's kind of thrown things out the window, but these little exercise snacks and things that I know that I've got to use as my toolkit have helped me through, just this last week. I think it's really powerful. But yeah, it's starting off small is the message, because then you can build up. I hope it's not intimidating to try out 20 seconds even. It's better.
Exactly, exactly. Better than nothing. And like you said, it also starts off at like a younger age. And on your like recent TED talk, which you had, congratulations to that, by the way, where you were invited by the HAPS Boys School and you shared how they can focus on their health already at a young age. What are the really like the key aspects of health at a young age, and why should these young people already start to become more aware of their bodies and the movement they're doing?
Yeah, I think like there's a few factors. I talked about how the mental health really concerns me with youth and the younger generations. I think also like the fact that, a lot of kids do play a lot of sports as well. And you see that in the school timetables. But I've seen with my own children that kind of when they hit around the age of 16, and here in the UK we have A levels, it's less in the timetable. Unless they're really passionate about their football or their hockey or their team sports, it kind of then goes slightly decreases in terms of trying to fit it in. So I was really talking to them about exercise snacking and showing them the power of movement just to build into their lifestyles, but it will help them during their exams, right? I said to them, if you're lacking concentration, the main slide that I put up was the exercise makes you smarter. That I thought would really try and get these, teenage boys that have got like exam pressure and they want to do well in life. I thought that would really hopefully like spark some interest and think, why is Lavina telling us that? But it's about what it does to our brains, to our hippocampus, to growing new brain cells, to boosting existing brain cells, like the whole stuff we've talked about later on in life with dementia and Alzheimer's. But it's teaching the younger generation the importance of it for their physical health and mental health. And again, I won't give too much away because it will go on the TED platform. When I asked the room, how many of you know someone with diabetes? The audience's hands, like I don't know if they'll capture that on video, I would say probably 70 to 80% know someone with diabetes or have diabetes. And that's the young generation, right? And that's just one example of chronic illnesses that can be reduced through regular physical activities. So I want it to be a bit more of an eye-opener, and just know that they can take this tool. They can start off by using it now, but hopefully I want things to be sustainable. I don't want them to just be one-off things like diets. I want it to just become part of their lifestyle as they age, trying to get the youth in a way that they understand. And luckily, I have 3 boys. So my eldest son did say to me, Mum, that's going to be the hardest audience you ever talk to. It's a room full of 100 teenage boys. So hopefully some of the messages have got through.
No, really. I think like I wish I would have known that back then because like when I was in school and I was writing exams, I was just like mentally drained and I was just like I was such a hard like worker in school and I always studied for hours. But like when I got to the exam, I just like completely blanked because I was so nervous. And now when I have like really busy days or big days ahead of me, I always work out in the morning and it completely sets the tone for the day. Like I don't get like this nervousness anymore and like this anxious, I don't blank out. It's just like you said, the exercise makes smarter. It kind of helps you just to tune into your knowledge. when you exercise. We at the Healing Company, we strongly believe in having to focus more on prevention rather than treatment. And we spoke about that a lot, especially coming to diabetes and Alzheimer's. There are so many ways we can prevent that in the early stages. And I feel like people sometimes just like, once they have the disease, they feel like, oh, now I have it. But it actually evolved like years ahead of that. So what's your view on today's methods of prevention and how they're working or not working?
I think it's just about education, awareness. Like the more, I will like jump to opportunities like this because together we can get more reach in helping
Yeah.
people, right? And we're on so much of the same page together, like obviously it's type 2 diabetes that can be reversed, but there's so many younger people living with pre-diabetes. So those types of diabetes can be reversed through exercise and lifestyle changes. Prevention, early detection, like being proactive about it is just so much better than obviously having to deal with it later on in life. But my message is, even if you have something, it's never too late, right? Don't get down about it. We can do so much through
We can
lifestyle
even
change.
reverse it. Yeah.
You can reverse it, which is I've seen with my own family members, like it's even my mother-in-law. I said in today's free session that her pre-diabetes has been reversed, her blood pressure's come down, her thyroid has, improved. Like so many key health indicators, things that you don't see and that your doctor then tells you, like she had a fall and she didn't break a bone because her bone density has gone up. Like it was that important
Yeah.
that the surgeon, it's amazing that you haven't even got a fracture off this x-ray. And she said, I've been doing some strength training with my daughter-in-law. But it's these things that really you can hear just get me so passionate, because I've seen hundreds of people message me and tell me how it's helped improve their life or it's reversed some of these chronic illnesses. But it is more education, more reach. Hopefully by writing my book, I can try and get my messages out there. Hopefully through the TEDx talk, hopefully people will share that with their children through platforms, social media. You know how much I just try and get messages out there. It's like a daily feel good walk. If one person normally messages me back and says, Lavina, I went out for a quick walk around the block because I saw you and it inspired me. I just think that one person is the best feeling, regardless of how many followers I have. That really doesn't matter. It's just touching that individual's heart, right? And changing their lives.
I just finished the book from Mark Hyman that he just published, and I think one thing that really stuck in my mind was that nowadays aging is always brought in correlation with some kind of disease. People kind of have already labeled it as something normal because like 80% of all the elderlies, like I think above 60 or something, have some kind of disease. If it's Alzheimer's or if it's diabetes or osteoporosis or like joint and muscle issues and all of that. So he said, if we would start looking at aging as a disease and actually tackle it in a way like we could tackle a disease, then things could change in so many ways. And I think that was really powerful. How do you see a correlation actually between nutrition, exercise, and mental health?
They're all interlinked. Like I want everyone to be doing a balance, like I've said, a holistic approach, right? It's all of our lifestyles. We live in such a stressful, busy world now, but we do need to focus on healthy eating. We do need to try and move more, sit less, and we do need to focus on our mental health, that stress reduction. So it's just all so important. And I love what you said, because we should give it this focus. Like aging, we're all going to age. I'm aging, I'm 45. I can't believe it. Like this last week I was like, oh my god, am I really 45? But
Well, you look much younger than that, Lavina. I can tell you. You look stunning.
I was double my size. I mean, not that it exercise for sanity, not vanity, but obviously, like, yeah, I look different to when I did, in my sort of early 30s. But it's just about how I feel, right? It just,
Yeah.
it changes. It's the power of all of these things together. Let's all just maybe just have, like I say, snack size goal setting. It's another thing that I do. It's just about taking a small tip maybe from today. Don't think you have to do everything automatically. Don't set the bar too high. That's why New Year's resolutions fail. That's why I went on so much media and said, actually this year just scrap them. Just set one small, achievable, smart size goal. As an ex-project manager, bringing that technique into our goal setting for fitness as well and for lifestyle, because just being able to do to achieve one thing and being happy and celebrating that as a success.
Yeah, and focus on health span versus lifespan, getting older in a healthy way, and not just getting older, because that doesn't help anyone. Do you have a personal wellness routine? What is essential to you in your healthy lifestyle?
Yeah, so walking is like my therapy. I'm not a runner. I never have been. I think I was scarred by cold cross country runs in the UK wearing like, minimal clothing, and I have Reynards, but you know what, actually, even with my cold hands and stuff, I just love getting out in nature. I have a dog now, a little Cavapoo that my youngest son convinced us to get over the pandemic. I never thought I'd be a dog owner, but obviously it gives me so much joy, and he's like my companion, and he loves walking with me. So I feel, for me, like the daily walk, if I don't have that, even if it's 5 minutes round the block, it's just something I have as like a non-negotiable. Strength training 3 to 4 times a week, trying, if I haven't been able to get to the gym, just to do some simple things like, the things that my tools, like my press ups, my squats, just things that I can even do in the kitchen when I'm cooking meals, believe it or not, but just ways I can make it accessible.
Mm.
Breath work plays a huge part, especially when I'm doing things that, would typically have been out of my comfort zone. Now I've built that confidence of, even this podcast today. I didn't know what questions you're going to ask me, but if we'd done this maybe 5 years ago, I'd be probably panicking. But breathing techniques, before I go live, before I go for an interview, I always just take a moment to do a breath snack. That's really important to me. And healthy eating, like I said, my mom's book is just all about colorful plates. It really makes a difference to my life. Staying hydrated, I'm having a quick sip, and then sleep is sometimes a challenge. I won't lie, like being through, like perimenopause as well, and being a mum at times, I'm still woken up if, my son's sick or whatever. But sleep is just so important that I just try and find ways like journaling. Journaling has been really key for me since the beginning of the pandemic. And it's been a great way for me to sort of celebrate this journey, as well as just expressing gratitude.
And is there a daily practice that you feel everyone should be adopting to live life to the fullest?
Oh gosh, a bit of everything that I've said, like if you can do a little bit of strength training, be it like 3 sets of 10 of those squats, if it's a little bit something that's going to raise your heart rate, whether it's a bit of boxing, whether it's brisk walking, whether it's just running up and down the stairs at home if you can't get out, a bit of stretching, a bit of mobility work when you're sitting for long periods, even some simple desk stretches. I do that with all my workplaces. It's all these things I feel like they don't have to take long, but if you can try and incorporate a few of these things that we've talked about today, I think that would be like, perfect feel good prescription that me, and not as a doctor, but I would love all doctor, prescribe my workouts alongside traditional medicine, because it plays such a huge role, right?
It does. I agree. I agree. And I think that's really like the conventional medicine. I think there has to like happen this and between conventional medicine and traditional medicine and movement, and all of that is like looking at it in a much more integrated aspect than just like, oh, take this pill for that and then take this pill for that. It's like that's not gonna be the solution, because the actual ground of like the issue is still there. And I think one thing that in this whole industry we talk a lot about is like the how in wellness. So how do we build a healthy habit, and how do we eat, or how to exercise? But in many ways we lose track of the why. So why am I doing this actually for myself? And if you were to sum up your personal why in one sentence, what would that be?
I mean, like deep down, my why is just so that I can try and live like the healthiest life possible for me, and I can age as well as possible, and I can overcome any of the hurdles in life, just from like my own experiences and seeing the power of this and how it's helped me. And I guess my why has changed now. It's kind of, even not just me, it's about helping others realize this, like the potential of using these techniques. So it is going into a little bit more of like serving not just myself but others as well now.
And then one thing I also have been thinking a lot about is like that obviously we give ourselves a lot of labels in today's world. And like, we're parents, we're siblings, we're daughters, we're friends. But if you would remove all these labels that you have given yourself, how would you describe yourself?
I would just say an ordinary like woman that's juggling, being a mom. I
You're
think
not
being a mom
ordinary.
is,
Stop it. Repeat that.
yeah, I mean, I hate labels. I just guess I want to be relatable, right? So I am a British Asian. I was born in the UK, but I'm in the South Asian community where so much work needs to be done around normalizing conversations, education around healthcare and exercise and movement and everything, even what we eat. You know what? I'm just Lavina that is literally living a life. Hopefully, I found, some purpose and I've got this real passion, and I hope I can just do it for as long as possible. And it's really thanks to everyone out there that has believed in me, and not to have that imposter syndrome, which I started out with. I didn't even ever imagine I'd be doing something like this. So it's thanks to everyone that has used my workouts or has shared my workouts or has, like watched me write or read something or, talk about something on platforms like this. So it's really thanks. I have to say thank you to everyone out there.
Yeah, that's beautiful. What is your meaning of joy?
Wow, my gosh, Annabelle, you've got good deep questions here.
I promise
Meaning
it's
of
the last
joy.
one.
As right now, it is all about midlife joy. I've got a festival coming up in the UK in May, and actually, the title of it is Movement for Midlife Joy. And that probably summarizes it because it has helped me so much, and it is what I'm passionate about. And I feel like those times where we don't want to work out, think about your mood. I often say it in my live workouts, like, how are you feeling at the beginning? Like, just visualize or say a word in your head, like anxious, depressed, tired, just can't be bothered, whatever it is, moody, and then capture it even maybe 5 minutes in, and then capture it at the end. And it's that whole change, right, in our mood and how it makes us feel. That is like, it's just joy for me. Like, even for myself, it gives me so much joy when I move. So midlife movement, I guess, it brings me joy.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And then I want to head a little bit into your personal inspiration. So, who do you learn from? And is there anyone that you see achieving inspiring breakthroughs in healing?
So I have to just go to my own mother. I always say she's my inspiration because she was just like me, bringing up my brother and I. She'd done a degree, but she'd never been able to really put it into practice. And then she found her passion through cookery and just doing a few classes at the school. And, people were saying, you're an amazing cook. And she decided to then, when we got into independent schools, just like my boys, she decided to just start her own journey. And she wrote, 2 books. She's done so many lectures. She's done so much research on food. She's my inspiration because I feel like, as an Asian woman of that generation, where women were probably, thinking that their place was at home and to serve and just to look after others, she helped women realize that they can look after themselves through their food. And she started the Feel Good brand. She'll always be my inspiration. And she's literally my biggest champion. I'm just blessed that she's with me now on this journey. And every little interview, every little conversation I have on social media, she calls me up straight away. And she's my critique. She gives
Oh,
me
I
honest
love that.
feedback. So yeah, I have to
Yeah.
say my mom. It's a bit cheesy, but I just feel like she's achieved so
No, it's
much,
not.
and she's 76 now. So yeah.
Amazing. I don't think it's cheesy at all. I think moms are the best. Literally the best. To be honest, I think that's like the best answer you could have given. Are there any books or podcasts that have provided you inspiration in life?
Yeah, I love the work of Rangan Chatterjee, Dr. Rangan Chatterjee. So he has a Feel Better, Live More podcast that I listen to on my feel good walks religiously. I also listen to Stephen Bartlett's podcast. I love learning about, other people's journeys, and I love the way he
Yeah.
really interviews them. There's, I guess, book wise, I've got a whole shelf of books at the moment, especially because I'm trying to write my own. So I just feed off lots of different writers. But, like I know you're doing work with Deepak Chopra as well. He is a legend, like in from going from the roots of like the South Asian community and our history and our
Yeah.
principles and being able to bring that mainstream. He's a legend, so I really admire his work, so I'm thrilled that you guys are collaborating.
Yeah, he's amazing. I agree. It has been, for me, big moments of joy working with him the past 18 months. So, yeah, he's a wonderful person. If there is one other person that you think I should speak to get a unique perspective on integrated healing, who would that be?
Oh my gosh, you're putting me on the spot here. You know what? If it was someone well known, I actually think like Tim Spector, if you could get Rangan Chatterjee, someone like that, I think they've just done so much work in this space and they really know their stuff. I think it would be also quite interesting just to get someone maybe, that is just younger and even in our youth, and just to talk about the challenges that they're going through, just to see what maybe a real life young person is doing with the pressures of life and the challenges of social media, and maybe having to conform to a set path in life. Just be interesting to see how they see their future, because I think it's just changing so much, right, as we speak.
Yeah, I agree. You know what? I like that you actually, instead of naming someone, you said that I should reach out to a young person who is like facing the challenges of today's world. Because obviously, like the more well known people have already spread their word, and speaking to them is obviously always really inspiring. But like actually listening to those who are not able to really share their thoughts and feelings so far, I think that's a really beautiful way of tapping into that. So I'll definitely take that serious, and I'll look for someone to speak to. Thank you for that input. What is next on your healing journey? What are you most excited for?
Yeah, now it is a case of sitting down and writing my book, which is something I've been trying to manifest. For the last few years, I never thought I would be in a position where I can finally get something out there. So I can't say too much, but watch this space. It's very exciting. I've just announced it on my birthday that I'm definitely writing a book. So yeah, I just like hopefully get some feel good vibes going behind me. And that is something that I'm really passionate about. And it's something that's been in my heart. It's just almost like my mum's book. It's there's
Mm,
no financial like drive behind it. It's more that I just want it to help people, and I want it to be a
I hear
legacy, and I want it
that.
put it all on paper, all these little thoughts and ideas that I have around feeling good.
And where can people follow you to keep up to date with all the beautiful things you're doing?
I'm on social media at Feel Good with Lavina, so very active on Instagram, you'll see. But all my saved workouts are also on my YouTube channel at Feel Good with Lavina. I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. I have a big Facebook community as well, which is like more structured workouts. But yeah, I hope everyone can get exercise snacking with me and do connect with me. And good luck on your feel good journeys.
Thank you so much, Lavina. I really enjoyed this interview, and I learned so much from you. And I hope that you'll continue spreading your wisdom throughout the world so people can start living a healthier and more joyful life.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Annabelle. It's been a joy.